Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. We got a very exciting conversation lined up but first, for those of you just joining, this is the Nexvia AI Podcast where we help business leaders explore new ways to scale their revenue and impact. So if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop me the word growth in the DMs and I'll get right back to you. But first, today I'm joined by Laureen Moyal and Devi Rhodes, partners at Paperwhite Studio. What really impressed me is that, guys, that you've built a branding and design studio that seems to really be known for creating immersive experiential brands, like especially in the food, beverage, and hospitality world. But really, what I felt truly set you apart was that you're not just designing logos; you're really crafting full brand stories that connect with people in an area that it's where we all live. So, welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
So take me back a little bit. Like, let's start with how you came together. What drew each of you into branding and design, and really what led to launching Paperwhite Studio as partners?
Laureen and I were friends first. We went to college together at the Rhode Island School of Design.
Yeah.
We both got our BFAs in graphic design. Um, After college, we sort of went our separate ways, not from a friendship standpoint, but from a career standpoint. I worked in a lot of um, more bigger firms, corporate style companies, and Laureen dabbled across various studios in New York. I then got my master's in marketing and sales in Vienna, and Laureen
Oh,
continued to work, and we ended up starting initially our own studios and then decided that it was idiotic to do that and we
yeah.
should really come together to form the Paperwhite that you see today. So I think the honest answer is we were friends first, and our passions in food and design, and you covered it really beautifully, like really creating immersive experiences for companies to share with their customers is where we've landed today.
How did you guys zero in on the food and beverage and hospitality industry?
That's easy. I mean, I think well, so my family is Moroccan and Davy's family, Davy has Indian and German family, and just I think food and
Nice.
hospitality is a huge part of our family culture and our home culture and just our general culture. So we've always loved that. And actually, in college, a thing that we did quite a lot was host dinner parties and cook together
Hmm.
and, kind of gather around the table with friends. If you've ever been to Providence, Rhode Island, there's not
Yeah.
much going on. So the kind of dinner party became the thing that we did quite frequently, and we've always just individually together and socially had a love for sharing meals, cooking food, like, setting a table. And so when it
Yeah.
came to branding, getting really close to that industry was a no-brainer. It was just an
Mhm.
industry we loved being with in and people that we loved working with. And and so being able to contribute to that from a design standpoint, from a branding standpoint was just like very lucky
Yeah.
and like an ideal, application of the thing that we had studied in school.
Well, when you have
Yep.
passion for what you're doing, it just rest falls into place. Go ahead, Debbie.
Yeah, no, I wanted to just add because of course I agree with everything Lauren just said. I think that there's a real transferable skill within the food and hospitality space that also like allows us to really, like food and music are like the most
Yeah.
universal languages you can like probably thread through. And so when we're working even with our non food, whether it's like consumer, the CPG world or which is can still be food, but when it's a product that's not necessarily sitting around the table, the skills that we formed in working in that
Hmm.
space are really foundational for us in kind of threading the needle through from a communication standpoint, from even the metaphor of bringing people together to enjoy an experience, that has really allowed us to like thread through for customers alike and
Yeah.
clients
Yeah.
alike for us.
And it's all about connection ultimately and storytelling.
Yeah.
And those things are, you know, universally applicable to other industries. So that's kind of that's the baseline of everything that we do.
And how long ago did you guys get started with Paperwhite?
Decades.
Paperwhite
Oh,
just
I
turned
mean, are
16.
you trying to
So
age us?
it's been a while. Okay, I wasn't
So
expecting
yeah,
it to be that long.
16.
Wow. Oh,
16 is our
impressive.
official birthday. This year is our 16th birthday.
Okay.
Um,
We're
so yeah.
teenagers. Yeah, we're in the teenage years.
You and me both.
Yeah.
So one thing I love to explore is um, obviously you guys have a ton of experience in this space, but was there some point at which you thought, wow, this is harder than we thought this was going to be?
I think it's dishonest to say no. I think there have been so many, if you're, I feel, an
Do you
aware
mean about the
person.
industry or do you mean about like,
About you and your own personal journey of, creating Paperwhite and all of
oh,
the
yeah.
the journey
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're
There's
an
no
aware.
roadmap for this.
Right. And if you're an aware person that's really trying to navigate and be most authentic in what's happening in the world around you, what other clients are going through, maybe because of what's happening in the world around you, the personal things you go through, Laureen and I are both mothers and wives and I think there's no script, and if you're
Yeah.
being authentic to genuinely consistently growing, if you say like it's easy peasy, I think you're lying to yourself
No.
and
Sure.
the
There's
public,
Yeah.
there's no
so
script primarily, and then also the whole reason we took the leap into running our own business, running our own studio is to be able to mold kind of the lifestyle around it, the family life around it, and all these parts. And that, really finding what the sweet spot is or really finding what works across the board really takes a lot of trial and error. So there's
Yeah.
no, it's not even like there's so much less than even an idea of a roadmap, and finding
Mhm.
something that works for us as partners, as parents, as people, and as business owners and leaders of the studio is it takes a lot of fine tuning, and it's taken a lot of those 16 years. And I think we're always working at
Yeah.
it, like different things that have happened in our lives, whether it's moving cities or having an extra kid or a first kid, like those have all shaped how we look at how we run our business, like what type of business we want to run. Like all of those things are constantly kind of evolving in different directions.
Yeah, I think it's so critical that the newish entrepreneurs understand that there's probably nothing more fulfilling from a business perspective than to do something like you guys are doing. But there's also probably nothing more difficult than you have to truly be willing to get out of your own way and figure things out. There's nobody else to figure it out for you. So that's what's impressive. You guys have been going quite some time. So that's really good.
There's not a lot
well,
of
so
points
yeah.
where it's like, oh, this is fine. Like, like it doesn't, there's no like long-term comfortable. Like there's always
Yeah.
something new to, like, if you're aware to take into account and to incorporate into the process or the vision or the communications, like everything. So you really do have to be, like you said, like willing to get out of your own way and super aware of the things that are happening around you and how and seeing the opportunities also for change, for growth, for just doing things differently. I think that's a constant conversation that we have as directors of the studio, as business owners, as friends.
So, what's something that people might not realize about running a studio like yours? You guys obviously have a lot of experience in the space, but if someone else was thinking about taking a similar path, I think it's important for them to understand, like from your specific
I
perspective.
think I think one of the I'm just gonna, and you can, Davey.
Yep.
I think one of the main things is, first of all, there's a lot of admin, like a lot.
Yeah,
And
right,
as creatives, we come out of school and we're creative. So we're
right.
making things, we're creating, we're coming up with ideas, and that really, it doesn't take a back seat, but you have to make space for the business side of things. And I think that if you really want to be doing creative work 24/7, then running a business is a big challenge. And,
Hmm.
Davey has a background in more business than I do, and so we have, I think, both sides of that, of the brain in that way, where we can kind of switch on and off. But I think if you really don't want to touch the admin, the organizational, the business side, then you either have to find a partner who's going to do it,
Yeah,
or it's not it's not
yeah,
for you.
yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I would add, I was going to say, um, working hard at staying relevant in a very shape-shifting
Mm,
world, is something we talk about a lot. And then also something I think we've never stopped working at is really, um, in a non-patronizing way, like we're learning from our clients, but we're also educating our clients and knowing how to be very in tune of how to communicate with people who have different needs, who are very emotional about their, little companies and babies that
mhm.
they're kind of really trying to nurture and grow. So I think the balance of staying relevant while educating and absorbing from our clients, plus like um the non-glamorous side of running a studio. Like we're very lucky to have schedules that we have and all of that stuff, but the behind the scenes of that is really um the devil's in the details. And so like
Yeah,
it's the balancing of everything, I think, is like the main takeaway.
yeah,
And there's always something to navigate, like Laureen said. So
yeah,
I would say that.
And I
yeah.
and I think part of that, like I think one of the things that's important is to always kind of set ideas of what you want the business to be, and not necessarily, put blinders on and go for that, but to have an idea, like how many people do you want in the studio? Like
Hmm.
how many clients can you take on? Like I think just we're always resetting those ideas together to kind of know what we're working towards, even if the plan is, being modified or changing, just so that we're not in a siloed, like, day to day, where we're not seeing the big picture. So the
Right.
short term and the long term is like a constant, um, I think, balance.
And it's,
And
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
no, in the creative space, I also think that obviously, we're very visual people,
Right.
and there's a misunderstanding that the visual um side of things is like the end game, so like even in the work we do with our clients, like we talk a lot about not we're not just here to make something look beautiful, we're here to like really give it purpose and meaning. And I think that pertains to us running our studio too. We're not trying to hire people just to make cool things, like the things that look cool. We're really trying to get like in the crux of like the storytelling and the branding and the strategy and the like for ourselves as well. And I think the just visual component of it can be very like glassy eyed, and then the hard work comes and people aren't prepared. And I think that's been a learning. I think we went into it a little bit that way too. Like,
Okay.
oh, it'd be awesome to spend our life making beautiful things. But the truth is like as you age and as you grow with the company and as you work with so many incredible clients, like you see that there's a greater purpose behind what we do.
And I'm sure, yeah, I think there's no doubt you guys are creating beautiful things and you've created quite a successful business. But even businesses as successful as yours, have areas that could run smoother. If you could get that little magic wand out and fix one thing, in Paperwhite right now, what would make your lives easier? What would that be?
I think I think
Laureen
that
looks like she's just about to explode.
No, there's
no,
so
I
many. Do I only get
there
one?
I
Is
mean
that more? I'm more thinking like, can I get at least three wishes?
You could have three.
there's there's a I think the one thing that never stops that we've like definitely, scraped our knee on a few times is once you get traction with new clients coming in and or some clients like really becoming like part of your portfolio, et cetera, that you kind of start getting very excited and you can become very complacent and lazy. And I
Right.
think the one thing that we've heard from advisors or consultants and life experience ourselves at Paperwhite is that you can just never stop. So if I could have a wand, I would have new business kind of like,
A new
a little
business
bit
button.
a new
Showing
business
up.
genie.
Yeah.
Yeah, a new business genie, just kind of like real because the work of talking about yourself and promoting yourself and really sharing your expertise and finding a tool to do that in a humble but an expert way, plus like churning the business from a day-to-day standpoint, I would say is like like it's not bad work, it's hard work,
Yeah.
and
Right.
And
so it
it's and
takes
it
up a
never
lot of time
stops.
and it never
Never.
stops. Like if you
Yeah.
stop, you will fall, and we have fallen,
Hmm.
and we
Yeah.
have really had to dust ourselves off, and the anxiety and fear that comes with falling is also very real, and you have to put that to the side. So it's like a real, you know, hamster wheel of just being ahead of the curve all the time.
How are new clients usually finding you? Referrals? Or are you doing outreach? I mean, what's that look like?
Well,
It's Yeah, there's been a big shape shift, actually
we
recently
were
for
we
us.
were yeah, for like the most part of, I'm gonna say 13 years, it was referral based.
Hmm.
Um
Yeah.
and you know, we were that I've it was I mean, I think we were really lucky to have that. But part of that also meant that, and this is something that we were challenged with, part of that meant that we were letting the outside tell us what kind of studio we were.
Mm.
And, so we were kind of feeling like we were doing work, which was great work, but didn't always feel aligned with maybe the type of work we wanted to do or the type of brands we wanted to be connected to. And flipping the script to take more control of that and doing more outreach and like Davey said, like talking about ourselves and taking control of the message versus letting, social media dictate it or what people,
Right.
we've had great press over the years, but just it's not that we had bad messaging, it's that people were sort of making an opinion of what they thought we were, like
Hmm.
in terms of the type of work we did or could do. And a lot of our past work defined the future work. And
Right.
so that was a big change in the last couple of years of saying, like, all right, we're going to take the reins here and continue to get referrals. And, we have wonderful clients who always connect us to wonderful people, but also reach out to more people that we think, um, we can offer a great service to, or we love the work that they're doing and, are trying to be involved. And so in that way, guiding a little bit more the direction of the studio versus just, letting it guide
Hmm.
us, which I think was the case for a long time. Not in a bad way, just in a way where
Right.
we didn't feel like we were fully driving.
Think it boils down to the fact that we needed to take our own advice. Like we help companies do this thing.
Yeah.
And because we are busy helping companies do this thing, we
Yeah.
were not doing it for ourselves. And I think, I'm assuming you're going to touch on this at some point, but it's relevant in answering your question. I think right now there's an entire obviously like AI has become like a big topic for everybody. And I was telling Laureen the other day, like, there are parts that we are fearful that AI is going to swallow of our little niche in the
Right.
industry, but one thing AI can't touch is our brains and our thinking
Right.
capabilities. And so we're really um promoting right now like something that we've had to, it's not like something we used to do 8, 10, even 2 years ago. We really have to talk about our brains and competing in a space using our thought capabilities and our expertise from a mindfulness standpoint versus an execution standpoint, which is what AI is really like tapping into. So I think like we have to talk about our value add, and that is like a very new the way we have to do it is very new, and not just for Paperwhite. I think that's true for a lot of um different
Hmm.
professionals in different industries. I think there's just like a thing happening in the world, and so we're navigating that in real time. So I don't want to come off like an expert there. Like
Yeah.
we have to talk about our expertise, but we're not experts at it, and we're working very hard to kind of like find our voice,
Right.
and share it appropriately.
We also realized at some point that we thought we had a very clear positioning and we were internally very clear about what we were doing and who we were as a studio. And we talking to people, just asking, like how do you view us? Just asking friends, asking clients, asking, we realized that that message was not clear on the outside.
Hmm.
And so connecting
Interesting.
those dots for people, it's really like it's kind of a PR thing, like just really controlling the message and at least at the very least making sure that we're putting out all the things that we want people to pick up. Um, and being super clear and consistent there, which, as Davey said, is literally what we do for our clients. And the thing that we
Yeah.
recommend is clarity, consistency, repetition. We were not doing that. And so
Simplicity.
people were saying, we're like, oh, well, we thought you guys did this. And we were like, why would you think that? And that was really frustrating. So just,
Yeah.
again, taking control of that and trying as much as possible.
Yeah, I think when it comes to AI, I don't think it's going to replace people like you guys. You guys are like your creative brains, as you talk about your brains, but what it will do, I find it allows you people like you to focus on your superpowers and like not get
Well,
so
that's a
bogged down in the
yeah.
admin stuff
Yeah.
that just really isn't your jam.
Or the output
It's
of
gonna,
design. I
yeah,
do think it's
processes,
gonna,
it's gonna speed up processes like,
Yeah.
yeah.
being able to play out an idea or visualize something quickly and, kind of play through things faster so that we can build that big picture for our clients. But,
Hmm.
a we're a relatively small studio, I guess mid-size or I don't know what, but we're also high touch in the sense that,
Right.
Davey and I interface with all clients. There's not, the projects don't come through us and then just disappear into like an office
Hmm.
of designers. We are
Right.
super involved with all of the clients. They all have our cell phone numbers, or we have WhatsApp groups with them, and in that way, that is something that we that's a version of this that works for us is, we had a there was a time where the studio was much bigger in headcount and it just felt like we were losing that
Hmm.
that connection with the projects, things going in, coming out like way too fast, not necessarily being able to have that visibility on everything. And it didn't work for us, and it works for, it just didn't work for the way that we work and the way that we want to be involved in the project. So
Yeah.
that is just something that, AI is going to help us with processes and speeding things up, but it's not going to change like how we're involved meeting with
Hmm.
clients, talking to
Yeah.
them at all hours, going on site, like all those things are.
It's not going to replace people. It's going to replace certain tasks. right? And tasks
Yeah.
that you may or may not want to do. But one thing that's crucially important, you guys are both talking about this, is like, how are you guys reaching out to those business owners in the food and hospitality world to make connection to them and build those relationships? How are you? I mean, it's just so vast. How are you guys
Yeah.
reaching out?
So this year, we are really fortunate to be part of a group called Together Hospitality as authority members. They operate out of Chicago, New York, and Nashville. They deserve a shout out. They do a lot of hard and good work in bringing people in the hospitality space together, from lawyers to nonprofits to people like
Architects,
architects, interior designers,
cleaning
restaurateurs, like
supplies. So it really is like a
Yeah,
bigger,
all over.
yeah.
so chefs. And so we are very, very active in those communities. That's been one thing. Um, we are also attending a lot of events, or it like big or small, like really reaching out to people and saying like, hey, we really just want to introduce ourselves. Do you have time for a drink or a coffee? Do you
Hmm.
have time for a phone call? Really going back to that like very traditional hospitable way of doing business, I would say. We are also writing, I personally started my own like connected but non-connected Substack where I can just like communicate thoughts and things and expertise. Laureen really manages our company Substack, where we talk about like, even city trends that we see around the world, and
Hmm.
just really, really, I think it's research,
Yeah.
sponging up, sharing ideas and thoughts, and representing ourselves. And it's really, I think the common thread through everything that we're actively doing right now is back to basics. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
in a very digitized
And we've been in this
world.
space for a long time, and I think what we bring to the table is that we really know the hospitality industry very well,
Hmm.
kind of
Yeah.
back to front, like we don't just, like Davey said, make nice looking things, which we do that, but we also really understand the pain points of the businesses that
Right.
people are running, like how, packaging can affect the back of house, how they're putting things together, how labeling can help, someone at the register like move faster, how sizes of things, affect the flow of service. So we are in a lot of ways also consultants on
Hmm.
experience that is supported by design. So, how things work within a restaurant is really, or a hotel or a members club or a wellness center, is really important to how the experience, how seamless or not the experience can be. And so,
Yeah.
after so many years, we're really trying to, which is hard because we're designers and designers are kind of like self-loathing and like not wanting to say like that they know something or they're good at something, but we are really trying to say, we know this really well, and we have a lot of really valuable experience and
Hmm.
advice that we bring in addition to design and strategy of design. There's also strategy of how design is incorporated into
Right.
the operation. So I think just saying that, and like Davey said, like through Substack, through our Instagram, not just showing like the beautiful work we've done, but also imparting, the like insight that we've gathered along the way and how it contributes to that work is a new thing that we're
Yeah.
really working on.
Well, I would imagine the fact that you guys do so heavily focus in the food and hospitality space, that just get, I mean, that gives you a lot more credence that you get it. Like you get the challenges that that business is likely going to, if they're not currently going through them, they probably will go through it because you probably worked with people along many different stages.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. I
I
hope
think,
so.
and I think like all of the, when we're talking about like, again, I want people to understand like from a what we do standpoint, we are talking about things that we execute on. But
Hmm.
the goal with our clients is to be a strategic partner, not a service provider. So,
Right.
the service we provide are the things that everyone like gets to touch and feel. But with our clients, we're really digging deep and making sure that they're authentic to their story, that they're consistent. If they need to shapeshift, that we're there for them and that we're a partner to help them shapeshift so that all these like
Right.
little things that come together turn into something that's seamless for the consumer and, to Laureen's point, like the back of house and the client themselves. But the foundation of all of that, when we're reaching out and doing new business, like to go back to your original question, when we're trying to explain to people why we want to know them and why we feel they should get to know us, it's really like sharing that we're there to be a partner from the beginning, or to reverse, to modernize them in a way that's authentic to their story. And then we can like push out all these touch points that work. But if
Right.
we're starting from like the touch points and going backwards, we've seen
Hmm.
it time and time again. Unfortunately, it does not work that way. And I think
And
that
I
that
think
is something special about Paperwhite is we really want to start underground and like help the seed grow.
Right. Yeah.
And I think partner is the important word that Davey
Hmm.
said,
Yeah.
For
which is
sure.
that we're not just gonna, I mean, sometimes we do. Like sometimes the request is that we just need a thing made and we
Right.
can do that and we do, but where we bring the most value is, as a creative partner, as a consulting partner.
Hmm.
Um, and hopefully we can continue to grow that.
Yeah. So let's look in the future a little bit. 6, 12 months ahead. If you were looking back and could say, "Wow, we absolutely nailed it." What would have to happen for Paperwhite to feel like you guys absolutely nailed it a year from now?
So I want to say one thing that kind of ties into like an earlier question you asked us, but
Hmm.
a typical onboarding for a new client from 0 to 100 is 6 months.
Yeah.
Like by the
Okay.
time all said and done. So 6 months to a year is like a very short timeline that you're asking.
Right.
However, I can talk to you about something Laureen and I have really talked about. We'd really like to get into the hotel space. So I think
Okay.
like really
I knew.
getting
I was
into
wondering
like
if
a
you were gonna say it.
She went
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
it's
we
the
always
truth.
have a wish list, like
It
Yeah,
we
makes
don't
a
know
lot of sense.
it's we
Yeah.
manifest different things
for
every year.
sure.
We try to work
Exactly.
towards them.
We're
But
excited
Hmm.
yeah,
about the hotel space. I think like partnering with more hospitality, giants or not giants that are just doing incredible things. We're always like we always have a crush on the CPG space, like in many different facets, and our feet are getting, you know, pretty wet in that space, which is like really exciting. And I think just I, I think if we have more and more control over our narrative and people really come to us knowing that we are experts at what we do, that's the win. And then the growing like never stops, like we said earlier. So I think
Hmm.
it's just growing.
yeah.
I think
And
that's
I
the
think
win.
we're every year that, we get another year, we feel fortunate. Like
Right.
the amount of years behind us is hard to believe, like when we think back to like day one or like those early days of like like what is even happening. But to be honest, we're kind of like, the permanently dissatisfied in a sense where we're always looking to do better and looking to improve. So I don't think there's ever going to be a point where we're like, we're good, we nailed
We're
it, like
we're
we're done.
done. Yeah.
We're gonna be like, okay, well, that's fine. Like, what's next?
Yeah.
That's more likely like, okay, like we did the thing we said we're gonna do. Cool. Like, what else can we do? I think that's more our style of working and thinking. But yeah, I think, hotel is our like
So if we were to
trophy at
look
the
out,
top of
let's say we look out 5 years, the timeline doesn't really matter so much. What do you think is the bottleneck in your entire process and everything that is the thing that's like most likely holding you back from that grandiose idea, what you'd like to achieve?
I think it's for me right now. I don't know if Lorraine has a different answer because we haven't asked each other in that way, which is a smart way to ask the question, by the way. Um, I think the world is very opaque right now, and we just don't know what's coming, what's happening, what's shape-shifting, how people are feeling, depending on where in the world you are. I think that just not having transparency and really being able to like plan a lot is it's like a little bit
Yeah.
of a heavy place on the chest right now. Um, I think being malleable is something we've learned we can be. And if we trust fall into that, it allows us to be a little bit more successful, staying curious. Laureen and I both like learning. So, like really like studying kind of what's happening, how it's happening, why it's happening, and allowing like putting our egos to the side and allowing the business to shapeshift with the times and really leaning into being people working with other people is what's going to
Hmm.
like allow us to push through. But I feel like for me, it's the opacity of navigating times that
Yeah.
feels the most difficult right now.
Lauren, did you want
I
to weigh
think
in?
I think for it's always changing, it's always changing and we're always assessing it in a way like what is our, biggest pain point at the moment. Um, now, like in the past, it's been very operational, like the team is too small, or the team is too big, or the team is too inexperienced. We're at a place where actually internally we're super happy and super aligned with like we have the best version of team that we've ever had in 16 years, despite having had way more people or, other variations. And so that's kind of like a win right now that we keep reminding ourselves of. I think for for me the bottleneck is just, you know, kind of balancing the plates, like, because the whole point of this is, there are times where we had more time and less resources, or more
Right.
resources. And, so right now we have an amazing team and resource in our camp. I think the whole point of this is also being, able to manage our families, our
Yeah.
kids, and our business, and kind of just keeping all those things like spinning all the time is always the challenge
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
but it's fine.
Well, Laureen, you
It's
mentioned
okay.
these words, so I'm going to go there. Pain point. Like, what do you guys think? And maybe you've already really answered this in a different way, but what do you think is your main pain point today?
As a company,
Yeah, he as a company.
I think communication is that fair to say, Davey?
communication, like how people
Like,
perceive us.
yeah, like in the past, we've been like, we don't have the portfolio to justify the, saying that we can do a thing. So we worked really hard on doing that and getting the portfolio and getting the clients and showing that we could do the work. And then it was, the team is not quite where we want it. So we, spend a lot of time focusing on internally like how our team works and who's on the team and all of that. And I think now we have all those things that for years we were like, well, if we just had this, so I think now it's just communicating all of those things is this the strategy, it's the goal, like there were times where we would say we could do things, but then we'd be like, can we actually do this?
A
Like
little bit of
like
imposter syndrome.
yeah, totally. And now we're like, we've done this.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot. We've been in a lot of versions of things, and we feel like
Hmm.
we have a lot of experience to validate those statements, and we have the team to say like we can accomplish this, we can execute on this really well. And so now it's just letting more, communicating that to more people, and
Yeah.
and I think, yeah. Davey?
Yeah,
No?
I
Thinking?
think yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know if I find that to be like a pain point because I think like we said earlier, it's something that we've just constantly had to work on, so it's not something that feels specific to now because we've literally spent decades like
Right.
reformulating doing that. Um yeah, I think throughout like this talk we have mentioned some. I can't think of one specific one, but I think like if you're trying to glean a little bit of advice, like I think something we really honed in on this year, especially because we've always been known for food and hospitality, and then we went through a phase where we were like, oh, should we specialize? Should we not? Should we? I think, and I don't get scared if we don't know how to do something. We're very honest. We either say that's not our strong suit, like we're going to bring in a partner, or we're going to learn how to do it so that we can comfortably do it. But I
Mhm.
think finding the niche while maintaining the broad capabilities that we can really like apply to various people and their needs and their company's needs and or industries, like we haven't done a massive hotel, but I feel very confident that we can do it because we have the expertise and the skills, and I know we can transfer them. So like I think the pain point is really leaning into that and feeling confident and communicating that we can and then doing it. Like I always
Yeah.
say, good design is good design, good strategy is good strategy. Like whether you're applying that to a chocolate company or like a footwear company, the foundation is the same. It's just
Mhm.
really like messaging yourself to be able to accomplish like the end goal of being that strategic partner. So
Yeah.
that's always a thing, like again, if we're not like evolving, then I don't know what we're doing. So like the learning part and like it is really like what we work really hard at.
Yeah. Well, I think this conversation has been such a great example of what the typical entrepreneurial journey is really about. So, I mean, and it's really been because you guys have been so fantastic about being so open about your journey and the realities of building a creative studio like this. I know a lot of listeners will be inspired by the way you've approached design, not just really visually, but that whole storytelling that you so heavily focused on. I think that's so important. If people want to get in touch with you guys, what's the best way for them to reach out and connect?
Look for our email addresses, Instagram, Substack, LinkedIn. There's a lot of what we also, I want to say, like we're very our door is open and we love having new conversations with new people. We love making new friends, whether it's doesn't have to be a business yield out of it.
Right.
We're interested in also like learning from other experts and kind of like broadening our network field, so please reach out anyway.
Well, fantastic. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you again. That's really, I just go back there because I think you guys did a fantastic job of just being open and honest and authentic about what it really is like to do something so life-changing like you guys had. So stick around for a minute. We'll chat a little bit more, but thank you for joining me. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Michael.